Hey everyone, welcome to another video on the channel. Today is July 6, 2021, and we're going to be taking another look at Blackberry stock. So before we get started, I'm sorry that I've been making videos somewhat sporadically in the past week. I was actually on vacation, but I hope everyone had a great July 4th if you celebrated. And also, before we start, I'm not a financial advisor. This is purely for educational and entertainment purposes only. But getting right into it, let's take a look at how BlackBerry's been doing. So we could see today wasn't much movement. I mean, we ended up slightly in the green, up 8 cents. But at one point, we jumped all the way up. We were above 12.35, and then we did come back down, but not a big movement either way. There hasn't been a lot. The last whole week has been pretty subdued for BlackBerry, and for a lot of these so-called meme stocks or Reddit stocks in general. And we could see when we look at the 5-day, again, we've just been kind of going up and down in this range now. We are gradually we are going down a bit. We were holding that 1350 support for some weeks and hovering between 1350 and 1750, and then we broke down below it. We're kind of between 1250 and 1350, and now we're in the lower 12s. But it hasn't really dropped too much from its last support. And because looking at the longer chart, I mean, we could see, yeah, we're gradually kind of going down, but we're not having any real major drops. We're kind of stabilized in the $12 range, which, if we could keep consolidating around here, it's really not that bad, because we could see in prior months, or not even really in prior months, back in like May, so just over a month ago, we were all the way down in the $8 or $9 range, just fluctuating between 8 or 9, 8 or 9, 8 or 9. And then in June we had that big pump, above 20, when all of the Reddit stocks were increasing again, and we've gone down, but we're stable. So that's a good sign to see. Hopefully we could keep stabilizing here, consolidating, and get ready for another big push, which would be great if we could do that to the upside. But again, in other news, there has been a good amount of positive news about BlackBerry. A lot of people were down on it after the earnings, which we had said at the time, they weren't really great. They weren't terrible. They were basically in line with what analysts were predicting. So take it with a grain of salt. I mean, it would have been great to have a fantastic earnings blowout or whatnot, but we knew that wasn't going to happen. So, and the fact that it wasn't like a really terrible earnings is good. It was just in line with what people expected. So there have been a bunch of articles and people who are downplaying it, saying, "Oh, the earnings were abysmal. It was terrible," but it really wasn't. And now, what I find really interesting is some outlets now, like here's from the Motley Fool, which, as we've said before, they've been so negative on a lot of the Reddit stocks, particularly AMC and GameStop, but they've actually been somewhat positive to BlackBerry, which I guess is a little surprising, but not really, considering that, they're looking at BlackBerry's turnaround story and they see that it does have some potential, as opposed to what they think like a stock like AMC or GameStop probably, has been much more directly impacted by COVID, and just their whole business model and whatnot might not be feasible, or I guess whatever their arguments are. But they have been more generous to BlackBerry. And, I find it interesting because, again, their earnings were okay in the grand scheme of things. I mean, the company did report a net loss of $62 million in the past quarter, But last year, it was a $636 million loss. So, I mean, guys, everything is relative here. I mean, yeah, they're not generating a ton of profit, but they've closed a nearly $600 million hole almost. So, and as we've said in past videos, if they could make, analysts are predicting they're $1 billion from selling some of their intellectual property rights or whatnot, if they could just start generating this cash, I mean, that would be fantastic. But again, like, these deals, they aren't going to happen overnight, you know? So when they do, that could be a massive catalyst for the stock. But right now, we're just in the trenches, you know, holding on or buying or selling. Let me know what you're doing in the comments for some of these deals to go through. So again, I don't think anything's really fundamentally changed with Blackberry. It's still kind of trucking along, but it's good that it has been consolidating at least now in the $12, and it hasn't fallen all the way down to 8 or 9. But let me know what you're doing in the comments section, and I'll catch you in the next one.